Welcome back to Dubster Dive, the series where we take a look at something's English dub and let you know if it's any good. And this anime has been requested to me several times. Summertime Rendering. I went into this anime completely blind, not even knowing what genre it was, and I think that's for the best. The best way I could describe it is I saw a comment online call it ReZero meets Higurashi meets Parasite the Maxim. And that comment is very apt. In short, go watch this anime. I could highly recommend it. It is really good. I understand why a lot of people said it was one of their favorites of last year. However, the dub... yeah, the dub isn't so great. But before that, let's get into it. Summertime Rendering is a manga by Yasaki Tanaka, I probably butchered that, with an anime adaptation by OLM, people behind Berserk 97, and Pokemon. It aired April to September of last year, 2022, and even has a spin-off called Summertime Rendering 2026, which will probably get an anime adaptation next, I imagine, with how well this was received. At least I hope it does, that'd be cool. Anyway, Disney and subsequently Hulu would get the rights to put it on their streaming services after it was already done airing. Classic. I'm gonna point out one thing real quick. This is a mystery anime where people are meant to debate their theories and thoughts week to week. So doing an anime like this, where it's like, oh, we're just gonna wait till it's done and dump it all, was really dumb and really hurt the anime's hype and notoriety. A bunch of people I know just went and watched fan subs of it. Same shit, different day. Okay. Sorry about that, had a coughing thing. But, yeah, so as far as the dub goes, it's on Hulu currently, and we're gonna get to that in a second. So I'm going to try avoiding spoilers, but that's next to impossible once I get to the English dubcast breakdown. People who've seen the show will know exactly why. Our story follows Shenpei, a dude who the anime starts with has a dream about saying farewell to his old friend Ushio. She recently died, and he's visiting the island that him and his family all lived on. Has a small town on it or whatever, because he went to Tokyo, so he wasn't there when she died, and he's going there for the funeral and everything like that, because him and Ushio grew up together, basically like family. And what follows is soon after he arrives, he starts noticing things are off. He hears rumors about a thing called shadow sickness, where if you see your own shadow, the legend states you will die soon after. So, shortly after that, yeah, he gets murked by a shadow, and he repeats the time right before he arrived to the island, basically stuck in a loop, a la Higurashi or ReZero, as he starts trying to piece together what the hell are these shadows, what are they planning, and what's going on. It's actually really good and keeps you guessing on your toes. And the protagonist, Shenpei himself, isn't a complete idiot. I always like it in the mystery anime when the protagonist isn't retarded, so definitely a nice touch. And the villains aren't stupid either, they're actually highly intelligent too. It's basically a mind game of mental chess while you're waiting to see what are the characters going to do next. How are they going to one-up each other? How are they going to outsmart one another by the end of this? One thing I forgot to mention is how BlazBlue might actually have a slight thing in this too, and I say that because they keep saying Shenpei has the eye of the observer. Anyone who's played BlazBlue know what I mean, especially with BlazBlue having alternate realities as well, and this having alternate timelines. Hell, you could even consider this like Steins Gate too, in a sense. But, yeah. You also find out Shenpei's powers do have limits. He can't just keep repeating infinitely, and it's used very well. The anime rewards you for paying close attention to context clues, and I feel this is probably one of those where if you were to watch it again, you could probably pick up on stuff that's like, oh, so that makes sense now that I know this. There's one example I thought of with who one of the culprits are, or whatever, since that is a mystery. It's like, okay, who's a shadow and who isn't? Since the shadows can mimic humans impeccably well, because when the shadows copy someone more or less, they get their mannerisms, their memories, and everything down pat. So you don't even know who a shadow is as you're watching it your first time through. Hell, I mean, some moments you might even think that one of the main characters is a shadow, and it really throws you off. Like, oh shit, I thought I knew what was going on, but I guess not. Going any farther would really be spoiling the anime, so I highly recommend watching this. And if you have the ability to, and I'm gonna be honest, watch it in sub. I've recommended that to a couple of my friends, and even said if you're dub only, then I can only recommend this with an asterisk attached, because the dub it's really rough. It's not the worst dub I've heard in history. I think The Reflection, for example, is still worse. But this dub is still not great. So, after that though, animation-wise, people seem to really like it. I mean, it's done by OLM, so I don't know. Can't really comment on that. As far as OST goes, I think it fits with the mood. You've got epic OST for when, you know, there's fight scenes going on. You've got moody OST when it's trying to be creepy and having its horror moments. I really like the second opening theme. I think that theme is awesome. So, overall, good OST. Good presentation. Now, for the dub. The main reason I wanted to make this video and go over the reason that the modern dubbing, if they have their way, if a lot of these voice actors have their way, is going to be fucked going forward. Firstly, this was done by a studio called Roundabout, who primarily does live action stuff, and you know how awkward live action dubs could be. Sadly, no relation to JoJo. Specifically, this was done by Studio South Lake Audio Services. I've never heard of this before in my life, but the producers on the dubs were Audra Pyle and Heather Dragolschool? What fucking names? And yeah, to call this dub awkward would be putting it nicely. There are rough takes all around, and the dub just concluded last month, I believe. In fact, the first 13 episodes were dumped on the One Piece sites, if you catch my drift, before all of the anime was dumped on Hulu about a month ago, from what I could gather. And yeah, it's not great. I'll go into more of that as we go along, though. So first, Shenpei, who's sometimes called Shinchan, yeah, this dub has that shit in it, is voiced by Stephen Fu. Alice from Iruma-kun, the replacement for Billy Kometz, Kaname from Darwin's Game, and Weather Report from JoJo Stone Ocean. And here's the thing about Stephen Fu. People ask, why do I keep calling him Randy Orton? Here's why. For those who don't know in wrestling terminology, Randy Orton isn't the greatest wrestler on the planet, in my opinion. I don't think anyone would call him like a Stone Cold or The Rock, but no one would call him garbage tier either. He's okay. And in Stephen Fu's case, I think it's a similar situation. He's not an A-lister, and that's okay. Not everyone has to be a AAA voice actor that could carry something on their back. In fact, I think Stephen Fu is perfect as best friend Coons in a lot of these anime. Trust me, as Alice, I say this with full confidence, in my opinion, he's a really good replacement as Billy Kometz. Now, as Fumi in Shield Hero, I've mentioned this before, no. I feel like he's just not as good or that good at the moment to carry an entire anime on his back. This is a similar situation, but it doesn't help that the direction is really off. It feels like more takes should have been taken with a lot of these people, and he's no exception. He's not terrible, but there's definitely better people they probably could have picked to handle this character. So, after him, we have his friend Ushio, who, a couple of episodes in, I guess minor spoiler, her shadow comes back and is a major player going forward. She's voiced by Emi Lo, Rena from Higurashi Go, funnily enough, Higurashi from Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters, about time they gave that franchise some representation in there, and Mairi, whatever the fuck her name is, from Buddy Daddies. That anime that was definitely not inspired by Spy X Family. What are you talking about? And she's another one who I feel is a decent voice actor, but the direction is off here. Sometimes her voice sounds like she's trying to go for a deeper take. Others is a more high-pitched, cutesy one. It feels off in a lot of places. Still not the worst voice actor on the cast, though. Again, she is a good voice actress, but the directing, I feel, really fucked her over. Trust me, we're gonna get to deep shit in a bit. People who've seen the dub know what I'm talking about. After her, we have Mio, Ushio's younger sister, voiced by... oh, Jesus. Merk Nguyen. Nguyen? There's a G in there. I have no idea how to pronounce that. She's known for voicing the chemist in T3 Arena, and Angela in Adultish. Adultish? Well, sounds like an adult film. And so there are scenes where Ushio's shadow has to show up, and she has to try doing two different voices, one for her normal self and one for the shadow to sound menacing. And I feel she's probably one of the better people here. Not perfect, but trying to go for the cutesy type. They could have picked a lot worse. Trust me, there are worse people on the cast. But either way, this is one where you could tell she's not used to voice acting, and that's going to be the same for a lot of people going forward. After her, we have Ushio and Mio's dad, Alan, voiced by Ping Wu, Henry from Silicon Valley, and Chan Ka Kui from Police Story films. And this is one where it definitely feels like English might not be his first language. Again, a lot of his line reads sound off to me, and that's going to be a theme going forward from this here on out. They didn't really get any anime voice actors for a lot of these roles. A lot of people are either live action actors or dubbed over live action, which those are two completely different things to do. Dubbing over live action is oftentimes very different than dubbing over an anime or, voicing in a different field. Same with live action acting if you're in an actual film as opposed to voice acting. The studio really fucked up there. Also, you're going to start noticing a theme with a lot of the people on this cast list. I'll bring it up at the end, though. After Alan, we have one of the worst people on the cast in terms of voice acting. So is Shinpei's best friend, voiced by Jason Jin, who's the English voiceover for Teiho in Space Sweepers and is Tattersall in The Last Ship. Okay, I don't know if it's the direction or what, but there is a lot of scenes where you can tell this guy is not good at voice acting in an anime. I don't mean to come across like a dick. Actually, I do, because I am a dick. But seriously, his performance is really rough. Scenes that are meant to come across as emotional or really where So is having a character moment fall completely flat because of his performance here. And it just sucks because I honestly think the character, he's one of those that also has a lot of comedic relief moments, but again, fall completely flat. I think we know who Andrew Ruthvan might be going to this time. The award for worst voice acting. Anyway, after him we have his sister, Tokiko, voiced by Jenny Kwan. Hey, someone with credentials! Satoko from the Higurashi 06 dub, and Chun-Li from Street Fighter 6. I couldn't even tell this was Jenny Kwan, I'm gonna be honest, and part of that could be directing, another part of that could be she was doing a deeper voice here. And to be fair, her performance is better than some of the recent ones I just went over. She's okay. Very average. Only a few more people I want to go over real quick. After her, we have Shiori, who's, best way I could describe her, when Shinpei arrives, she's trying to pull off the creepy, quiet little girl archetype. She's voiced by Giselle Fernandez, who's, Meme Redon? How do you pronounce that? From Monster Girl Doctor, an anime I barely remember even though I saw it. And she's Sheeta from The Prince of Tennis 2. Again, another very okay at best performance. Alright, let's try getting through the rest of these real quick. Next is Tetsu, the local cop on the island, who's also comedic relief, who all he wants to do is crack the case so he can get hot chicks on his side, etc. Voiced by John Choi, who I thought at first was Tom Choi, Liu Kang's voice actor from Mortal Kombat, but no, it's a different Choi altogether. Anyway, he was a defense attorney in Hawaii Five-0, and he played a butler in the TV show Lost. You know, that TV series by Jar Jar Abrams. And this one is another one where you could tell the guy is probably not good at voice acting. Again, acting and voice acting are two different things. After him, we probably have one of my favorite characters, Hizuru, also known as Ryunosuke, or Ryunosuke, depending on the time of day when they want to mispronounce the name or just pronounce it differently. Again, this dub is full of that shit. So Hizuru is a shadow hunter. Anyone ever see that show, Shadowhunters? But yeah, that's basically her whole thing. And again, minor spoiler, she has the soul of her dead brother in her body, so she has to try doing two different voices for the different personalities. In all credit, she attempts. Again, an attempt was made. I'm gonna be fair. She is voiced by Jen Wong, who's Isabella from Call of Duty Vanguard, and add voices in Raya and the Last Dragon, and Yokai Watch. Is Yokai Watch even still popular anymore? Does anyone even give a shit about it? Let me know. But again, she tries, but I have to agree with what comments I saw online. She does not fit with the character, in my opinion. I haven't seen the sub for this show, so I don't know who would have been a better fit, but yeah. So, oh well, what can you do? After her, we have her friend that's also a shadow hunter with her, who's a sniper, Nezu, voiced by Tim Dang. Dang, man! I had to. Who's Prince Maurice from Night Court, and a bunch of one-off characters in Star Trek The Next Generation. Hey, that's something. Again, I'm gonna be honest, probably one of the better voice actors here, but I could just be biased because Nezu was probably my favorite character as well. Again, him and Hizuru were probably the two characters I like the most. But yeah, you could still tell that this guy had a really thick accent and that English might not be his first language. I don't mean to harp on that so much, but Tim Dang at least tries with what he's given, I suppose. Thankfully, though, we do have a great voice actor who actually tries with everything he's given next, Masahito, who's a priest working at the local shrine. KG Tang, thank you! Spoilers, I'm planning on doing a top 10 voice actors, in my opinion, coming up at some point. KG Tang will most likely make the list. Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, and Yasuhiro from Danganronpa. And he owns every scene he's in. You can tell he is having the time of his life, and no matter what direction you give him, I feel like he is always going to come out on top and make the most of his situation. Hell, you even get Masahito nerding out over Final Fantasy VII and the FF7 remake upcoming at the time, since this anime takes place in 2018. And I feel like KG Tang was mirroring himself there. I don't know, I just get the vibe he might be an FF7 fan. Not sure on that, though, someone could correct me. So, good on you, KG Tang. You're clearly the best voice actor here, man. After him, let's go over to the heels of the group. Basically, the leaders of the evil shadow organization. First, we have Haine, who's the deity of the island. Basically, the god of all shadows is the best way I could describe her. She's a god of something else, but again, you all should watch the anime. She's voiced by Riza May, Kokomi from Genshin Impact, and Futaba from My Senpai's Annoying. Someone you can also tell is an okay voice actor, but direction really hampered her here. That's all I gotta really say on that. The last one I want to go over is Shide, who's a four-armed shadow monster, basically, I guess kind of like Goro, and who has a strong filter on, so it could have been anyone voicing this guy, but the voice actor's name is Kavindar Singh. What a name. Kavindar. That actually sounds really fucking cool. You don't fuck with Kavindar! And I can't comment on anything. Again, the guy's a filter on, because the Shadow is a monster man. So, can't really say anything. But hey, did you guys notice the theme of this dub? Because a lot of the ad voices, or one-off characters, you've got Caleb Yen and Yako. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, they went with the whole race casting route this dub, which pisses me off. I mean, I'm okay. For those who aren't aware of the drama that happened about a week ago with the Gundam The Witch from Mercury, yes, that will be getting its own episode. Voice actors Inaris Quinones and Nazia Tarsha, if that is how you pronounce that name, would go on tangents on social media about how race casting needs to be a thing going forward in anime. You know, black person should only be voicing black characters, etc., etc., etc. But then if you bring up, well, what about voicing Japanese characters in anime, their argument immediately falls apart and they backpedal because they realize they would be out of a job if that were the case. Well, Summertime Rendering said, all right, hold my beer. And the people behind the dub went out of their way to get 90% Asians across the board to voice these characters. To the detriment of the dub, in my opinion, because a lot of these people, as I stated, can't speak English as well. It is clearly not their first language. Either that, or they're just actors and not voice actors. Two completely different professions. So because of that, you have a dub that sometimes comes across as stilted, awkward, where they needed more than one take, line deliveries that's all over the place. Sometimes they'll deliver a line really slow and realize they need to say the rest of the line really fast to make it come out. So a line like, hey, how was your day would be, hey, how's your day? As an example. And it really sucks because this dub had potential. This anime is really damn good. But the dub, it has a fan dub quality to it. And if it were a fan dub, I'd be way more forgiving. Or if this dub came out, you know, over 20 years ago, like a late 90s dub. But it didn't. This dub is incredibly recent and an official dub released by Disney and Hulu. So I can't give it any slack. Especially when you still have solid dubs coming out today. Berserk Memorial Edition. Let's see, Chainsaw Man's dub I think was alright. Vinland Saga. Particularly the LA dub. I haven't really seen the Texas dub yet, but I've seen people comment saying it's alright. A dub like this just sticks out like a sore thumb, especially when the product they're dubbing is really good. It's like the Squid Game dub, and I have a theory as to what happened here. The studio behind the dub, as mentioned before, primarily focused on live action dubbing, so they approached dubbing this anime in the exact same fashion. I think we can all agree that's not something you do. It doesn't work very well. Their two mediums are completely different. And because of that, the dub is fucked. I mean, hey, there's even some script mess-ups around here. For example, someone asks Ushio, don't you think so, Ushio? Hizuru asks that, and Shinpei answers, yeah. And that's it. It's like, Shinpei, why are you answering for her? I feel like she was supposed to say, don't you think so, Shinpei. So they just fucked up. Another scene is you have Shide basically shouting, what are you trying to do to my armor? And, are you trying to control it? And Ryunosuke replies, not at all, you bastard. I'm not letting go. But I hate you with every fiber of my being. Is the full sentence from Ryunosuke. That response doesn't make any sense. It's like context is missing there. It's really frustrating. I don't mean to keep bitching, but this is the future of English dubs if a lot of these voice actors get their way. We've already seen it in other anime. There's plenty of anime out there where it's just gonna be this. But oh well. Oh yeah, another thing that really doesn't make any sense in dub. So, Shinpei, again, is visiting from Tokyo, and they keep bringing up the fact that he has, he lost his country twang since he's no longer living in the, in the small island village. The problem is that doesn't really make sense. Only a couple of characters have accents, and I'm pretty sure that's just because the actors do in real life. So it just didn't make much sense at all to still keep that in the dub. I know they were trying to remain faithful, which I do give props to that. From what I could tell, this dub was mostly faithful. Then again, someone will correct me. But sometimes alterations like that might have actually helped. I don't know. I don't know what they could have done there, actually. So, I guess that's really it. One line I did crack up on is they're talking about committing an assassination in the anime, and they're like, a gunshot on a quiet night like this, it would draw way too much attention. This isn't America, after all. That line made me crack up. It's like, wow, okay, I see what you did there. But jokes aside, this anime was really good. I'm glad I watched it. Definitely one I would recommend, but just know what you're getting into with the dub. If you approach the dub pretending it's a fan dub project or something, I think you might be able to get past a lot of the awkward stuff I mentioned. But let's hope this isn't the future of dubs and we can turn ourselves around. Because if every single dub decides to go the race casting route, we could end up in situations like this, and I don't think any of us want that. Voice acting has always been the most inclusive industry, in my opinion, or one of the most. It didn't matter who voiced the guy behind the microphone, or who the person was voicing the character behind the microphone, I should say. At the end of the day, as long as they do a good job, who gives a shit? But this whole era of, oh, we need to cast or race cast as much as possible, is just bullshit to me. I don't care what someone's nationality, sexuality, beliefs, or any of that are. If they have a good voice for the role, then who cares at the end of the day? And the voice actors pushing for this, y'all are fucking retarded. Anyways, that's gonna do it. Real quick, I will comment on a couple of things for the major spoilers that I thought were really cool. And one of the things is more of a nitpick, so if you don't want to be spoiled, get the hell out of here. So firstly, Ushio surviving in the ending, I feel like maybe she should have stayed dead. You know, it would have worked maybe a little better with the themes that time is absolute and some things you can't take back. I understand what they were going for, though. It's a similar thing where the characters have suffered through so much that they earned this happy ending. But I don't know. Again, that's more of a nitpick. Your mileage might vary on that. But I did really like Shide and Masahito being the same person, because it made the most sense. Because Shide, when he first shows up, is talking about game lingo. Like, I know how to turn off the console for your time travel abilities. I'm going to unplug it from the wall. I am the boss, after all. Like, he was saying all this shit in the beginning, and it's like, okay, that's clunky. That's awkward. But then when you find out Masahito is a game nerd, it's like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. You know, good job. The same thing when Mio has a panty shot in the first episode, and Shinpei uses that as a clue to figure out that it seems like he's gone back in time. And it's like, wow, fan service actually serving a plot relevant thing. That's, again, really cool. I like that. That's cool. But yeah. I guess that's really it. Again, really enjoyed this anime. If it comes out on Blu-ray, you know, I hope it does. I'd pick it up. I like it. Hopefully the spinoff does get an anime adaptation, and hopefully they give it to a different dub studio. Because, yeah, I've seen some people do like the dub, and if that's you, cool, but I personally did not like it very much. I feel like it was very rough, rushed out the door, and could have been a hell of a lot better. If you thought this dub was good, I'd say go watch something like Hellsing Ultimate, and that dub would probably be like, holy shit, like, that's a good fucking dub. But I digress. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know if you agree, if you like summertime rendering, because I really enjoyed this show. And let me know if you hate it. I don't know. Let me know if you agree about the dub or not. But until next time, guys, thanks again so much for watching, and I hope you all have yourselves a fantastic day. So, till next time. MVP of the dub, KG Tang. Andrew Ruthvan of the dub. The dub studio itself. Yeah, how's that for a twist? Stop letting the studio dub shit, man. But alright, guys. Till next time.